Hey, Mark. Nick was just talking about how Stanford was smart to go with the old school two tight end smash mouth thing when everyone else is going spread because a lot of defenders are built to stop the spread now. What do you think of their philosophy in this day and age?
Oh, well, it certainly worked for them. And I think that's your biggest challenge or biggest thing you're trying to do as far as a coach is maximize your talent or maximize who you think you can recruit the best or just all that putting that formula together and for them that has certainly worked. And they're absolutely different in our conference as far as a prep an opponent to prep for in terms of your scout team and positions and that you're trying to match up from a personnel standpoint. And so, yeah, they are unique in this conference. I don't know about across the country how many teams are like them in terms of what they do. And then they do that, but then they also do kind of what we would call a normal offense too. So there's a little bit of everything when you're getting ready for them.
Quarterback's guy. What do you make of how Hogan has progressed since the last time you guys saw him? Because the first time you guys saw him, he was only in for about a game before that. Now, a full year later, how good is he?
I don't. I would be lying if I knew how to compare him to other people as far as a comparison. But you can certainly see his development has been significant, and probably like you're saying, a great deal of that is just experience. He's obviously a very talented guy, multi-dimensional guy, run pass threat type of guy, and so those guys are always tough to prepare for.
To piggyback off that first point, how difficult is that to when you're week in, week out, putting a scout defense together or a scout offense together for a spread look? How difficult is that to change things up for a week like this? I guess it helps when you have the bye, but
Yeah, I think it's anytime you're trying to simulate somebody else from a scout team perspective, that's difficult. We don't have anybody on our scout team defense that looks like anybody on their defense. For instance, we don't have 9 offensive linemen that can run down and simulate their offensive line. You just don't have those kind of body types laying around, and that's where you have to kind of trust your approach. You have to trust your scheme, the soundness of your scheme in every phase has to be tested in that regard because those same guys, from a defensive standpoint, those linebackers and DBs are the what make up the big part of their special teams units. But just from a play standpoint, it's not that different. There's just maybe 1 or 2 extra gaps that are created by how they line up, and that's where again there's always a guy that's responsible for a gap, and it's relying on the soundness of those schemes to hold up.
In the front. We've got it, Jerry. Austin?
Mark, I asked David Shaw in the conference call about similarities between the two of you taking over as coordinators for successful head coaches. He said you guys had talked about that a little bit. I'm just curious kind of what he said and what kind of ideas you bounced back and forth.
Well, he didn't give me all the great ideas. No, we have talked about that, and I think we're obviously him following Coach Harbaugh and me following 3 guys. There's a lot of similarity in that of level of expectation, kind of the whole thing about putting your stamp on the program, which is something that I've never looked to do or think about doing, and I think he was. Very similar in terms of what they've done and what we've done has been really good, and how can we do it a little bit better? Not how can I come in and change this so everybody thinks it's my idea, or well this was 51% my idea and 12% somebody else's idea. You just as soon as you start doing that, you lose focus. And the biggest thing in all of this is what your players believe in, what they can perform the best, how your program can again continue to ascend because of what they do, not what you go, hey, that was my idea. And I think we have a very similar approach in that way, it seems.
Front here. Victor?
Yeah, so last year you guys seemed to have a lot of chances, a lot of turnovers, and you didn't capitalize on them. You think it's as simple as this game to kind of capitalizing on chances and mistakes they make to win?
I'm certainly, that certainly could be part of it. They've been really good with the ball, and knock on wood, we have two. And so anytime you're two good teams come together, that's usually a big deciding factor. Turnovers, special teams, swings, and they just didn't get our best shot last year. That's something that when you look back on the film, especially from an offensive standpoint, we didn't play very well, and certainly part of that is due to playing a quality opponent. A lot of the things that we did, the opponent, is irrelevant type of mistakes, and so our guys are preparing well, and looking forward to playing our best next Thursday.
Molly, we'll get there.
Okay, this is not necessarily a football question, but I was talking to Andre Y earlier, and I'm wondering
Please
if
be
you
more
would,
specific.
would you give a shot at pronouncing his last name?
Iretgoyina.
How often did you have to practice that?
I don't have to divulge that.
Did you just take it one name at a time or one syllable at a time?
Yeah, when you you have to go. You have to break it down for sure. But yeah, he helped me out with that a couple times. And Wood, you should have heard Wood's first couple pronunciations. It was classic. It was like, I think you said Andre Jones or something was first. But yeah, can you spell it, Dave?
Just typed it out along. Oh yeah, hold on. Any other questions? I have one.
Mark, when you're going forward on fourth down, do you ever take into account the kicker's confidence?
Sure. I think part of when you're going forward on fourth down, I think that some part of that chemical reaction is your confidence level in making the kick, which then would definitely, part of that is what you think the kicker's confidence level is, or just the execution, whatever that percentage of execution is for the kick, kind of balanced with your confidence level in converting fourth down, combined with your confidence level in your defense. And so that throwing all those things together, it might vary if the ball's on the 23-yard line and it's fourth and X versus fourth and Y. There's a lot of different gray area in that kind of a decision.